What if silence was actually the loudest confession of love? Think about that for a second. You have been waiting for a sign. You have been looking for words. You have been searching for grand gestures. But what if the person you love shows you everything by showing you nothing at all? Let me take you somewhere real. You are dealing with an avoidant. This is someone built to run. Not because they are cruel, not because they don't feel, but because feeling has always been dangerous for them. Somewhere in their past, closeness became a threat. Love became a trap. Their own heart became a room they are too scared to enter. So they distance themselves. They go cold. They disappear for days. They act like you don't matter. And you? You break inside. You think it's your fault. You think you are not enough. You start shrinking yourself. You start walking on eggshells. You beg for crumbs of affection. You lose your peace trying to fix someone who keeps running away. But here is the truth they don't tell you. That running, that coldness, that silence, it is not rejection. It is recognition. Stay with me here, because what I am about to say will change how you see everything. When an avoidant truly meets the one, they do not fall into your arms. They fall into fear. Deep, old, childlike fear. You trigger something in them that no one else could. You become the mirror they never asked for. You show them what real love looks like. And that terrifies them more than any fight ever could. Why? Because real love asks for presence. Real love asks for vulnerability. Real love asks them to stop hiding. And hiding is all they have ever known. So when they realize you are the one, they don't get closer first. They run harder first. They test you with absence. They push you with silence. They pull away just to see if you will stay. Not because they want to hurt you, but because every other person in their past left. Every other person proved that love was conditional. Every other person demanded they change overnight, and then abandoned them when they couldn't. But you are different, and they feel that difference, and that difference scares them to death. Here is the psychology. The avoidant attachment style is wired for self-protection. Their brain has learned that intimacy equals danger. When they feel too close to someone, their nervous system lights up like a fire alarm. No reason, just old pain. Just old memories of being misunderstood, suffocated, or let down. So what do? They deactivate. They numb. They withdraw. They tell themselves they don't need you. They replay your small flaws to convince themselves you are not special. They create distance so they can breathe again. But here is the secret no one talks about. That deactivation never lasts forever. Not with the right person. Not with the one who was meant for them. Because deep down, beneath all that armor, the avoidant is starving for love. They just don't know how to ask for it. They don't know how to receive it without feeling weak. They don't know how to stay without feeling trapped. So they watch you. They notice your consistency. They notice how you don't explode when they go silent. They notice how you don't chase them into exhaustion. They notice how you hold your ground without punishing them. And slowly, something shifts inside them. They start feeling safe. Not because you chase them, but because you didn't abandon yourself trying to catch them. This is the part most people get wrong. They think winning an avoidant means chasing harder. It does not. It means becoming so secure in yourself that their distance no longer feels like a threat. It means loving them without losing yourself. It means staying open without begging for closure. When you do that, something impossible happens. The avoidant stops running, not because you trapped them, but because they finally see that running is useless. You are still there, you are still kind, you are still steady. You never used their fear against them. You never made them wrong for being scared. And that level of safety, they have never felt it before. That is when they know, deep in their bones, you are the one. But here is the hard truth. They will not say it with flowers and poetry. They will not throw you a romantic speech. They will not declare their love from rooftops. That is not who they are. Instead, they will show you in small, awkward, beautiful ways. They will show up even when they feel scared. They will send a message after 3 days of silence. They will admit something vulnerable, then immediately change the subject. They will sit in the same room with you without needing to escape. To anyone else, this looks like nothing. To you, it looks like a miracle. Because you understand now. You understand their language. You understand that their distance was never rejection. It was their old self trying to protect them from a love they didn't believe they deserved. And you stayed, not as a doormat, not as a beggar, but as someone who knew their worth and still chose to understand. That is powerful. That is rare. That is exactly what breaks through to an avoidant heart. Now, before we go any deeper, I want to offer you something. A reward for staying until the end of this video. If you watch until the final section, you will learn the exact 3 psychological shifts that force an avoidant to stop running and finally commit. These are not tricks. These are not games. These are deep inner changes that make you magnetic to even the most fearful heart. You will learn why pulling away sometimes brings them closer. You will learn the one sentence that disarms their defense system. And you will learn how to become the person they cannot forget, no matter how hard they try to run. So do not click off. Do not let your own fear make you leave early. Stay, because the next sections will show you how to turn their running into returning. Let's continue. You have felt the push and pull, the hot and cold, the nearness followed by the sudden wall. It drains you. It confuses you. It makes you question your own mind. One day, they look at you like you are their whole world. The next day, they act like you are a stranger. One night, they hold you close. The next morning, they wake up distant, and you lie awake wondering what you did wrong. Nothing. You did nothing wrong. This is the avoidant dance, and until now, nobody explained why it happens even when they know you are the one. So let me explain it in a way that finally makes sense. When an avoidant realizes you are the one, 2 versions of them wake up inside. Version 1 is the child who always wanted to be loved. That child sees you and feels hope for the first time in years. That child wants to run toward you. That child craves your warmth, like sunlight after a long winter. But version 2 is the survivor. The survivor remembers every time hope got crushed. The survivor remembers trusting someone and getting abandoned. The survivor remembers opening up and being used against themselves. These 2 versions fight every single day, and most days, the survivor wins. Why? Because the survivor is louder. The survivor has more proof. The survivor can list every past heartbreak like evidence in a courtroom. So they withdraw. They go cold. They tell themselves, you are not special. But you are. And that is the problem. Here is what research on human psychology teaches us. The avoidant mind does not fear bad relationships. It fears good ones. Because a bad relationship feels familiar. A bad relationship matches their old story. See? Love always hurts. I was right to stay guarded. But a good relationship? That terrifies them. Because a good relationship asks them to change their entire identity. It asks them to drop the armor they have worn for decades. It asks them to believe something they have never seen. You are asking them to believe in safe love. And they do not have a map for that. So they panic. They sabotage. They create problems where none exist. They pick small fights. They focus on tiny imperfections. They convince themselves you are not compatible. All because their brain is trying to protect them from something that feels too good to be true. Let me tell you something important. This is not about you. This is not your fault. You could be the most patient, loving, secure person on earth, and they would still find a reason to run sometimes. Not because you are lacking, but because their fear is louder than their feelings. Do not take their distance personally. That is the first key to surviving this. The moment you take it personally, you lose yourself. You start performing. You start trying to prove your worth. You start over-functioning to keep them close. And the more you do that, the more they pull away. Because an avoidant can feel when you are trying too hard. It smells like pressure to them. It smells like expectations. It smells like another person who will eventually demand more than they can give. So they run, not because they want to, but because they do not know what else to do. Now let me show you what happens inside them when you stop chasing. This is the part that will set you free. When you stop chasing, something strange occurs. Their brain stops screaming danger. Their nervous system calms down. The space you give them allows them to actually feel their own feelings. And in that space, without your pressure, they start missing you. Not in a dramatic way, not in a movie-style way, but in a quiet, aching way. They notice the silence you left behind. They notice your absence more than they noticed your presence. They notice that you are not begging, not crying, not demanding explanations. And that silence? It speaks louder than any fight ever could. Because your silence says, I respect myself enough to not chase someone who keeps running. And that self-respect? That is the most attractive thing to an avoidant. More than your looks, more than your kindness, more than your words. Why? Because it shows them you are not desperate. It shows them you have a life. It shows them you are not going to fall apart without them. And that makes you safe. That makes you different. That makes you the one they cannot forget. Let me go deeper into the psychology. The avoidant mind is hyper-independent. It has learned to survive alone. It has built a whole identity around not needing anyone. But here is the catch. That identity is a lie they tell themselves to feel strong. Deep down, they want to be needed. They want to be chosen. They want to be loved so steadily that they finally believe it is real. But they will never admit that. Not until they feel completely safe. So how do you make them feel safe? You do not rescue them. You do not fix them. You do not tolerate disrespect while smiling. You simply live your life. You stay kind but not weak. You stay available but not desperate. You stay open but not begging. You become a mountain. And mountains do not chase anyone. Mountains just stand there, solid and strong. And eventually, the lost traveler finds their way back to the mountain because it is the only thing that feels real. That is your power. Now, here is something most advice will never tell you. When an avoidant knows you are the one, they will sometimes test you harder than anyone else. They will push your patience to its limit. They will say cold things. They will disappear longer than before. This is not cruelty. This is their final exam for you. They are asking one question without using words. Will you still be here when I come back? Or will you prove that everyone leaves? If you fail this test by getting angry, begging, threatening, or leaving dramatically, you confirm their worst fear. See? I was right. Love always ends. But if you pass this test by staying calm, staying kind, and staying focused on your own life, you break their entire belief system. You show them something they have never seen, a love that does not run away just because they ran first. That is when the shift happens. Not overnight, not with one gesture, but slowly, like ice melting in spring. They start initiating contact. They start sharing small pieces of their day. They start apologizing for the silence. They start asking about your feelings instead of running from them. And you? You do not throw their past in their face. You do not punish them for finally coming close. You simply receive them with the same steady warmth you always had. That is how you win. Not by controlling them, but by becoming someone so secure that their fear finally feels unnecessary. You are almost there. The next section will reveal the 3 psychological shifts that make an avoidant stop running for good. Do not leave now. The best is coming.